It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Yeah, what is going on, my pretty babies? Lee Sanders with you guys for this Monday night of March the 3rd, 2025. Minutes removed from an all-new Monday Night Raw on Netflix. I want to apologize in advance because if the audio does not sound how it usually sounds, that is because tonight and tonight only, I am using the MacBook for my speakers, for all the sound that you're hearing. We're giving the mixer over here some rest because unfortunately, I was in the middle of doing some math homework earlier and I spilled a cup of water. Now, most of that water, I saw where it went. It mainly went way over here to my far right, but there was a little tiny bit that had got around the headphone jack input for my mixer. That was about the only area that I saw. I'm pretty sure it didn't go in. It just got a little bit around the connector part. So I didn't want to take a chance and risk something weird happening. So I'm just going to pretty much give the mixer and all that a break for a whole week. And then by then, like, we should definitely be on the up and up. So now, for those of you that check out the shows on demand on the downloads, you might not notice anything because normally in post-production, I do a pretty good job of cleaning audio up, sweetening it, amplification, all that other good mumbo jumbo technical stuff. Hey, how was y'all's weekend? I hope it was good. A lot of craziness that went down, especially since we are on the road to WrestleMania. And as I was here for that Elimination Chamber post show, I told you guys anything can and will happen, not just in the WWE, but on the road to WrestleMania. And that theme definitely continued tonight. As I can't believe I'm saying this, fam, but we got a new women's world champion in IYO SKY. I tell you what, I was in my recliner and I was watching this, and to see how everything unfolded in those last few minutes, I jumped out of my seat and I said, what? I said, get the hell out of here. Are you kidding me? As IYO SKY is going to be facing Bianca Belair for that Women's World Championship at WrestleMania. Just when we thought we knew how that side of the coin was going to be playing out at Mania, and I would imagine a lot of you guys, yeah, this was teased so long ago. The circling in storytelling by WWE here, basically coming back to this, these two girls getting it on, like, yeah, awesome. And then IYO SKY just out of nowhere. I did not see anybody predicting IYO SKY was going to win this and she was going to be going to WrestleMania. A lot of people kind of looked at this as a afterthought when it's all said and done. So I would imagine that with everything that's been transpiring, with Jade Cargill returning to Elimination Chamber, back to the WWE, and getting involved with that whole Naomi thing, I would imagine Jade Cargill all of that considered, Bianca is like in the middle of a very delicate situation that's going to continue to play itself out over the course of the next several weeks leading up to WrestleMania. But her role at WrestleMania, like, it's safe to say it's still not clearly defined, is it, fam? Like, we don't know exactly. Like, we know for sure Jade's going to be at WrestleMania, but the question is whether or not she's going to be facing Naomi at WrestleMania, or if things take a turn for the worse and it ends up being that Bianca is perhaps going to be the one to face Jade at WrestleMania. There's a lot that's up in there, and I think we'll have a better idea of an outlook on how things are going to be rolling once we get to this Friday SmackDown and the next episode. So basically, the next two SmackDowns, that'll give us a really good sense of where we're going to be on this path and everything. But look, the world of entertainment, all things sports entertainment, reacting to what happened there with John Cena. And yeah, man, look, in case I did not stress it enough, as the fan in me from our weekend Elimination Chamber post show, which, by the way, appreciate you guys that ended up checking that out, be it live or you're represented, checked it out on demand and on the downloads. Yes, without a shadow of doubt, you're asking the fan in me, the critic in me. I'm literally here to tell you I've seen them all. I've seen a lot in watching professional wrestling since, my God, the earliest memory that I can recall, 1983. I have seen a lot. And yeah, when it comes to the immortal Hulk Hogan turning and joining the NWO, being a bad guy, yeah, I would definitely have to say that with what John Cena did over the weekend, it's a move that nobody saw coming. But you know, it's so interesting because now when you think about it after the fact, so many breadcrumbs was put out there, right down to the point when you think about some of the promotional art that was used to promote Elimination Chamber. We didn't think nothing much of it at the time. We see John Cena, okay, yeah, his one last opportunity, okay. We see The Rock, we see Travis Scott. They literally were telling us right then and there that something is a brewing. And we ain't talking about at Dunkin' Donuts, right? So there's so many breadcrumbs along the way, but definitely for everything that I have seen as that wrestling fan since 1983, yeah, man, this was a monumental moment. This was a historic moment, definitely a moment that fans will be talking about for many years to come. And rightfully so. Yeah, for me personally, I mean, again, I've seen it all. I've been through it all. Thinking about what it was like in real time, seeing Hulk Hogan revealed as that third man. Yeah, the John Cena stuff definitely, at least in my book, it eclipsed that. It definitely eclipsed Hogan for sure. Not by much, but it definitely eclipsed it and everything. It's a great moment, and I love the role that WWE has been on right now because they've been all about better fine tuning in regards to their storytelling, going with, okay, what makes the most sense here? Where can we do these plot twists? You know, fans think we're going in this direction, but no, we're actually going in a completely opposite direction. I love what they are doing here, and the fact that they've been on such a good role in creating moments, stuff that people will be talking about. Like I had said on the post show, you know, when you look at Elimination Chamber in retrospect, so many good film moments, whether you want to go for Sami Zayn taking on Kevin Owens in that unsanctioned match, which definitely delivered on all cylinders, or you want to look at the return of Randy Orton post Owens Zayn fight, pretty much setting up Viper, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens for WrestleMania, or you want to look at the return of Jade Cargill. You're looking at Cena turning and joining forces with The Rock, and then you got Travis Scott in there, and you're now trying to figure out from a celebrity standpoint who might Cody Rhodes enlist in as far as help goes, celebrity wise. Who might he tap into to counter react there to Travis Scott? So many things going on there. Just so many variables in there that even when you go into tonight's Raw, and remember how tonight's Raw kicked off, right? Considering how much of a natural high, that great buzz we all had for Elimination Chamber to end, for Raw to open up tonight with a white hot CM Punk getting back to basics of a microphone talker. That's what I felt when I was watching what he was doing tonight. I loved his execution tonight on the microphone, because it is moments like what he gave us on the mic tonight that reminds us of those vintage days of CM Punk, and how much of a fantastic storyteller he is, and all of that. Welcome one, welcome all for this edition. Hey, by the way, let's see what you guys are saying right now. For those of you that maybe haven't voted yet, we do have a poll up on Twitter at the RCWR Show, X, asking you guys, what did you think about tonight's WWE Raw? So make sure you're voting over there when you get an opportunity. Looking at the early snapshot right now, and I see a vast majority of you guys on X are saying it was an awesome show. Meanwhile, over on youtube.com/the RCWR Show, I am seeing that. Let's see what's happening here. We got a tie right now. So I wonder what's going to happen first. I wonder if the tie on YouTube is going to be broken first, or we're going to see things really continue to blow up there with the poll on X. We'll circle back, reveal the final results. Now, in regards to Elimination Chamber, as I like to do here on the show, for folks that don't know, usually I like to come back the day after, or in this case, essentially 48 hours later. Yeah, about that premium live event. Where do I stand? Am I still right there with the initial rating and all that I gave it? And for those that didn't tune in, I ended up on a number scale. If I'm not mistaken, I gave Elimination Chamber 8.5 out of 10. Looking at it from a grade level scale, I ended up giving it somewhere between a B- to a B. I wouldn't go lower, I wouldn't go higher. I still stand behind that. Now, I know more of you have cast your votes. Let your voices be heard on what you thought about Elimination Chamber. Over on YouTube, I'm saying, ooh, wow, that's a first, with over 100% of the votes coming in here. You all said it was an awesome show overall. Very rare do we get a poll like that. So appreciate you guys that have voted via YouTube. Let's see how things are looking via X. And survey says, where's our poll? 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 Okay, I'm seeing it on X, but for some reason, there it is. Now I got a better idea. Okay, 4% of you guys said it was a below average PLE. 16% of you said it was an average show. 20% of you gave it a awesome rating. And the 60% of you, you can dub this however you want to look at it. If you want to say that was kind of an X exclusive, it kind of was. But 60% of you, John Cena, WTF. Appreciate you guys that had voted via those methods. Love hearing from you guys. And sound off. I have a new question that I kind of am toying around with here as we are now underway talking about tonight's WWE Raw. What do you guys think about the idea of Chad Gable's mentor, his teacher of understanding and mastering all things luchador? What do you think about the idea of his mentor, his sensei, being Rey Fenix? I bring that name up because we know that Rey Fenix, younger brother of Pentagon Pentagon Jr., we know that he just got his release from AEW. At least that's the way the reports are looking by the reputable folks over there at Fightful, PW Insider. Looks like even Wrestling Observer is saying that, yeah, Penta is gone from AEW. What do you guys think about the idea of Chad Gable getting the help there from Chad Gable getting the help there from Penta? And not Penta, but from Ray Phoenix. What do you all think about that? You think that's a far-fetched idea? You think we might be on to something there? I mean, I don't know. I put that question out there on social media, and a lot of people are favoring the hell out of that idea of mine, right down to the point. Shout out to your biggest critic. Actually, no, correction, to Zilliman. I think it's Zilliman, who says Ray being Penta's heel to give them solo time before putting them together would cook. So they like that idea. Just trying to make sure I'm not missing anything else in there. Oh, actually, there's 5 comments. Let's see, who else did I miss here? Somebody is thinking maybe it might be Chavo Guerrero. Somebody's thinking it might be the Guerrero family. You know what? That is a good one as well. I see some more you guys are like, yo, that idea with Ray Phoenix, that would be fire. Seriously, that would be fire. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But Chad Gable continued his journey into understanding the dark arts of lucha, lucha, lucha. And we see him open this mysterious box after he was asking a handful of, who knows where he was. Maybe he was in Mexico. Maybe he was in Tijuana. I don't know where the guy was, but after we saw him asking a few people trying to get directions to wherever it was he was trying to go to, it seems as though he finally found what he was looking for, as he coughed up, I guess, some cash money to this person that he came across and opened up a box, and he seemed to be extremely happy with what he saw in that box. A little bit of a Pulp Fiction moment there, right? What's in the box? Hey, whatever it means to you, right? Can't wait to see. I love the ideas that we all are bringing to the table here. This can go in either direction when it's all said and done, right? This can go in either direction. But for Chad Gable, his story is to be continued. Okay, it's kind of cool. I like what's happening with Chad Gable though, because it's kind of reminding me a little bit of, I'm going to say something that probably most fans don't remember unless you're old school like me, but it's almost kind of giving me the, what was the name of that martial arts series back in the day? It kind of had a Mortal Kombat vibe to it, and if I remember right, Bruce Lee's daughter was the host and one of the executive producers. What was it called? Like WMAC Masters or something like that. It ran for like 2 seasons. Y'all that know your shows from back in the day, you know exactly the series I'm talking about. What's going on with Chad Gable is kind of giving me those type of vibes in a good way when it's all said and done. Speaking of Chad Gable, we saw his members of American Made there in the Creed brothers. They had a title shot, a tag team title shot against the War Raiders, and War Raiders still are tag team champions as they are heading into WrestleMania season. But you know, one of the biggest questions, Creed brothers, are they good with that? Are they going to let things just be, or are they still going to continue to be pretty hell-bent on making sure that whenever Chad Gable does make his eventual return to Raw, that they're tag champions? Because remember, Chad Gable told them, look, when I come back, y'all need to have tag team gold. In the case of our girl Ivy now, she needs to have the women's Intercontinental Championship. But so far, it seems like at least for War Raiders, they've been striking out there. Match was about 8 minutes and change against the War Raiders there. Look, I think it's just a matter of time before the Creed brothers do win gold. I do think that if we were to see on that journey to WrestleMania, if the Creed brothers were to lock up with the War Raiders a couple of more times, one of those times they will hit pay dirt. I personally feel obviously tonight wasn't their night, but I tell you what, seems like each time we're seeing these teams somehow lock up, right? I mean, these matches get better and better. I'm really, really coming around big time on the Creed brothers, especially now that they're starting to bring in more personality, right? Now that they're starting to fine tune, flush some characters, flush some personality out. Yeah, I'm finding them to be more intriguing. I got to tell you, at times they're coming off even more intriguing, more cool than our current tag champions. You know, if anything, I think it was a disservice that Damian Priest got sent over to SmackDown right as we were starting to see, wait a minute, we kind of stumbled upon something really badass here with Priest and the War Raiders. I really wish we could have continued to see that, blossom a hell of a lot more and everything. Meanwhile, Ivy now was taking on Lyra Valkyria there for that Intercontinental Women's Championship. Lyra picking up the win. Those girls, it seemed like they went at it for a good little bit. That felt like maybe we were watching about a 10-minute match, give or take. If it was less than that, I would really be I'd really be shocked to learn that, because it felt a lot longer. Ivy is the same case, much like with the Creed brothers. Ivy is really coming into her own. And I think with her, it is definitely just a matter of time before she becomes the women's IC champion. It's interesting, but each time we've seen these girls lock it up, just when you think Ivy maybe has that number, Lyra is able. No, 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 not quite, not quite, not quite. But I love Ivy now. Look, if I had to choose between the Creed brothers and Ivy now, as far as look right now, as far as on the road to WrestleMania, which one of them is maybe going to hit first? It kind of comes off more like WWE Creative is really gun ho in getting Lyra over. That's the honest vibe that I'm getting. So it seems like they've got more flexibility, more patience with her, more of an investment with her. So my whole point, I can see new tag champions being crowned first before we get Lyra dropping that championship. But then again, hey, who knows? One of the best things I love about this women's match is the fact that Lyra was doing a really good job selling the hell out of the injury that was being done to her knee by Ivy now. There is going over the top, and then there's just staying in character. And hey, look, this happened to me, so I got to make sure I'm selling this. And Lyra did the latter. I was quite impressed by that. But if you're keeping track at home, we've had consecutive weeks here of Lyra Valkyria putting in some pretty solid work. So some good stuff right there. Now, I think just to keep up with the continuity of things, it only makes sense that at some point we see American Made maybe on a phone call, and although we can't hear Chad Gable, to at least have them acknowledge that's who's on the other end, and he's trying to get a status update report. Like, you just imagine, like, at some point we're going to see something along those lines. By the way, shout out to you guys, you detectives on social media who always do a phenomenal job and scrutinizing what all is happening behind the scenes when we get backstage footage. You guys like to look for little Easter eggs and all that. And we saw a pretty interesting one that most people might have not been aware of. So let me set this up properly. So as you know, that I've been watching the program in the past couple of weeks, Dominic Mysterio has been toying with the idea of bringing in a couple of new members, but Finn Balor has been against it, saying no, we're not. No, we're gonna wait for our guys that's currently out. Like, no, we're not. No discussion about this. Forget it. And in one of the backstage joints, you easily could have missed this because it wasn't like in the background it was well lit. It was actually pretty dark. But if you looked closely, you saw Dominic Mysterio having a conversation with none other than Karrion Kross. And just so you guys know that, in fact, it was Karrion Kross. Somebody had literally at Kross on social media and asked him what was up. And he confirmed that it, in fact, was him. And he said, oh, and we know what Karrion Kross does best. He is behind the scenes, stirring the pot. He's pretty much doing his Sean O'Hare. I'm not telling you something that you don't already know. So could we maybe be getting a taste of things to come down the pipeline there for Judgment Day, where some type of an allegiance, alliance, whatever you want to call it, is worked out between them and Karrion Kross and Scarlett? We'll have to wait and see how all of that plays out. Meanwhile, Gunther having a match against Otis. Well, we kind of saw this coming a mile away. Decent match. If you want to say this was an extended version of a squash match, I mean, you can definitely go on ahead and say that. But for me and what I had saw tonight, I will say this: Otis was able to get in a lot more offense than I anticipated here, which made it look fairly decent overall there. Tozawa, he tried jumping in there after the fact because Gunther was continuing insult to injury on Otis. He pretty much got owned as well. Jey Uso comes on out there, manages to run down, and he and Gunther, they start duking it out for a little bit there. But then Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, they ended up attacking Jay from behind. Jay ends up getting the upper hand on them, which pretty much, as we learned later on in the night, we're going to be seeing Jey Uso and Grayson Waller go at it one-on-one. That's going to be for next Monday's WWE RAW. So some solid stuff right there. What else did we have come about from tonight's Raw? I will talk more about the main event match in just a hot second. I guess from this point, we can talk more about CM Punk and his scathing promo, because we had teased that earlier and everything. So again, remember how Elimination Chamber ended. Elimination Chamber ended on a WTF, just shock and awe, eagerly anticipating the coming weeks of WWE programming. And here we get, at the start of Monday Night Raw on Netflix, a hot-headed CM Punk, a laser-focused CM Punk. And there's nothing better than that combination, because that means we're going to get one hell of a promo from CM Punk. And this promo tonight, it did not disappoint by any stretch. Gotta enjoy that sip, man, because I am literally amplifying my vocals here even more. I gotta raise the roof just a little bit, just to make sure you guys are able to hear me pretty good. But for anybody that might be hard of hearing, because I'm not using my traditional mic setup here, let me know, and off the fly I'll increase the volume, and that should make me come in even louder for you guys. So we're 47 days away from WrestleMania. Tonight we had Monday Night Raw in good old Buffalo, New York. I love the arena that we were in there tonight, that we got to see as spectators. WWE very quick to play around with some 4K and up equipment. They were playing around with the drones as well. Loved it. Loved it. It was great experience from a technical aspect, especially for me, learning what I'm able to learn as someone that's taking classes in television production and all that, getting understanding of on-field cameras and all of that. It's got me wondering now if we're going to be maybe utilizing drones at some point during the semester. I'll have to ask my professor to see about that. But we had CM Punk, who was kicking things off here. I jotted down a lot of notes from this. He had a list of enemies that he wanted to address and pretty much asking the fans at the same time, okay, of these guys, who should I go after first? Of course, he talks about The Rock. He calls Dwayne The Rock Johnson a big, bald fraud. Reminds The Rock that he's dealing with the best in the world, middle-aged and crazy, right? He's done it all, and he's trying to main event WrestleMania while The Rock just gets to show up whenever he feels like it. Talks about how he'd like to say all of this to The Rock's face, but Rock hasn't been around for months. He's never been this deaf. He's never been this desperate and never proclaimed himself the people's champion because he's earned it. He's never been so desperate to sell his soul as well. He then turns his attention in that same breath to John Cena, calling John Cena the biggest hypocrite of them all. Essentially saying flat out that all the selling that he was doing the people and kids for the past 20 years was complete utter bullshit at the end of the day. Punk saying you'll never see him give up on his dreams, as the way John Cena has essentially given up on himself, the people, and all the kids. And Punk promises that he'll get his hands on both of those bald-headed frauds. Now look. I know my man John Cena. Yeah, it's he's losing it in the back and everything. But I mean, look, he's still got a decent amount of hair on the sides and the front, right? It ain't as bad as we, look, just get some topic or get some plugs. But look, he's probably happy. He's probably like, look, I am good. You know who John Cena reminds me of with all the stuff that's going on with the back of his head? And he's pretty much just content. Like he has all the money in the world and he can easily get that taken care of. But he's not. You know what actor he reminds me of? And this is going to be a old one I'm pulling from out of my memory, but it's the first guy that comes to my mind, Ted Danson. Now, for younger listeners that don't know anything about Ted Danson, look, if you're big on to Friends and all those other little hit NBC shows from back in the day, you'll love a little show called Cheers. Ted Danson, he plays Sam Malone, who is the proprietor for this bar establishment called Cheers. And it's like out in Boston and everything. And I bring that up because what a lot of people don't realize is that Ted Danson lost his hair, the back of his hair, at a very, very, very early age, that by the time you see him on Cheers as Sam Malone, his bald spot is as clean, if not bigger, than what John Cena is pushing. But you wouldn't know that because every single time he was doing Cheers or he was doing a movie, he always had a piece for back there. You didn't know what was going on until, like, okay, cameras aren't rolling. He can just relax. He can be himself. And then he would just be running around with the ball spot back there. Again, if he wasn't doing interviews, no movies or anything, he was running around with the ball spot, clear as day. Was making tons of good money. When you look up how much money he was getting back then from movies and Cheers, you could almost say it would maybe be, I won't say the equivalent to what John Cena's been doing, but it would at least be about a fraction, if not maybe half of that. He was a handsomely, really good paid actor for back in the day. But no, John Cena's content, man. He content with that little bald spot that's going on. So, hey, y'all don't even look at me because y'all like, hey, Lee, what's going on with the hat? It's cold as shit. All right, it's cold as shit over here in the DC metropolitan area. We are going to be dipping into the low teens for our overnight hours. Well, on a good note, we're going to be looking at a high of 60 degrees for Tuesday. And then I think it's supposed to be warm for like the next 2 days, and then it kind of dips back down again. We all are very excited for the following week because the following week we're going to be looking at mid 60s, and one of those days is actually going to hit 70. So we just got to get through this last couple of days of Old Man Frost, and then we're going to be good to go and all that. So yeah, CM Punk, I love this promo on so many levels because he is just X marks the spot on this enemy. For me, I don't know about you guys, but it seems like CM Punk is just really at his best on the microphone and giving you shades of vintage CM Punk when he has an opponent to focus on. If it's a case where he's just supposed to go out there and he's just supposed to rattle off for a few minutes, it's like, yeah, okay, I guess. Like his stuff with Logan Paul, for example. Their little mic duels, yeah, that's okay. But man, get him talking about Cena. We're chomping at the bit. By the way, for Cena and Punk to have that showdown at Elimination Chamber, I had got nothing but goosebumps. I hate to go with The Rock there, but legit, I did get chills because I'm like, wait a minute, what year is this? I'm like pinching myself, reminding myself that it's 2025 and it's not like 2012, 13, 14 or whatever. Good shit, man. Good shit. But it seems like, okay, Punk, cut a promo on The Rock where there's so much history there. Boom, easy, right? It's not even homework. It's just natural. It's just easy. Say something about John Cena. Okay, it's just easy. I'm sure if Punk needed to and he had to go to the well and say something about Triple H, like, okay, easy, right? Even on Rollins and Drew McIntyre, like those are easy as well. But I mean, this was like vintage Punk that we saw on the microphone tonight. I was loving it, especially when he finally turned his attention to Seth Rollins. He pretty much said, look, little brother Seth Rollins, you finally got my undivided attention. Tell you this much, you better be calling your man, Becky Lynch, to come get your ass, because when I get through with you, Seth Rollins, your ass is going to be in a wheelchair. Rollins coming right out. And by the way, have you guys seen the spoof WWE Squid Game skit that's running around on social media? If you have not, go check it out. It is like 5, 6, 7 minutes of the funniest shit that you will come across. And especially when they get to the Seth Rollins CM Punk little bit, you will die in hysteria, because when you link that up to what we saw go down with these men tonight, I mean, on spot, they just beating the shit out of each other. Backstage, they beating the shit out of each other. Did they run into each other like 3 times or something? I'm like trying to remember the number, but I know at the end, Adam Pearce made a blockbuster announcement because WWE is going to have Raw at Madison Square Garden next week. And the main event, we're going to be seeing a steel cage match. You heard me, fam. A steel cage match between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Supposedly, like, this is it. Once and for all, we're going to be done with this. Yeah, we'll see about that as we are on the road to WrestleMania there. I don't see it being over even when we get to the steel cage match. I just don't. To the point, somebody brought up an idea earlier, and I want to make sure that in regards to this idea, that it's definitely linking up to what I was talking about earlier there. Yeah, no, not that one. But shout out to Glenn, who said via X that he's under the impression that IYO SKY, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair, He thinks that might end up being a triple threat match. And Glenn, to that, I say, you know what? You are likely on to something if it's a case where Rhea Ripley invokes her rematch clause, and whether or not that's going to be honored by Adam Pearce and crew. Because, I know we haven't quite talked about it in depth yet, but going back to, that women's championship match, we need to remember the circumstances and how we got to tonight. Because remember, IYO SKY was in that tournament. There was some fuckery that went down. And Rhea Ripley basically said, look, I don't owe you a women's championship match. I feel that people have to earn that right, but considering how things had played out and everything, I'll make it up to you. And sure enough, Rhea Ripley was a woman of her word and let her know, hey, you and me, night after Elimination Chamber, we're going to have a match for my women's championship. Let the best woman win, right? No excuses. Like, this is it. So it'll be interesting to see, to Glenn's point, what happens the following week and everything. I don't feel, though, that Seth Rollins, just going back to them one last time, I don't feel that Rollins and Punk are going to be done with one another. I'm just not getting that vibe. And then the other thing that I'm thinking about, too, with them is, see, they're in a very interesting position, are they not? Because you're thinking about that road to WrestleMania. Do you do something with those two guys facing one another again on one of those nights of WrestleMania? And or do you focus on the fact that Cody Rhodes, now more than ever, this guy needs allies? Does Seth Rollins loan himself? Does CM Punk? Does he maybe do something there to try? And then the other thing that you have to think about as well is CM Punk still has that favor that Paul Heyman owes him. And you remember there, we were reminded so many times, there was a couple of PLEs. Hey, what's this favor? Can you tell us? And Punk is like, no. Does Punk maybe call that favor of Paul Heyman on the road to WrestleMania? Now, as far as that favor goes, like at this point, I don't see that favor. I don't see that favor having anything to do with a World Heavyweight Championship opportunity. I think that trigger Ben would have been pulled by now. I think it would have been pulled by now. I think this is something else. I would need like the rest of this week to think about what that favor could be, because now more than ever, I'm under the impression that Heyman is going to get called in for that favor. That's what I'm under. Now, look, the most simplistic favor that's out there, it could be a case where CM Punk says, look, at some point, I'm going to need like some help. And you know what? I'm helping you. You're going to, it could be a case where CM Punk goes, I want to be rid of the stench that is Seth Rollins once and for all. I want Roman Reigns to take care of my laundry. It could be something as simple as that. And then CM Punk, like, but then it's like, yeah, but would he really pull that? And like, really? So what? The road to WrestleMania? You're telling me that it's potentially going to be Roman and Rollins at WrestleMania? Like, you feel where I'm coming from. So it's kind of like, but this is how we need to be thinking, right? From here on out, we need to start thinking about what exactly is that favor, because I definitely feel in the next 47 days that favor is going to get called upon. Without a shadow of doubt, it's going to get called upon. Let me know what you guys are thinking that favor may be, and if you think CM Punk's going to activate it on the road to WrestleMania. I'm most curious. Seeing a lot of you guys are continuing to like that idea I brought up about Rey Fenix there. We'll see. Because I got to say, look, if you're going to go with the Guerreros, honestly, for me, as a hardcore wrestling fan, I know about the name Guerrero. I know what it means. I know about that family very well, but you're only playing up to a certain number of your wrestling fans. It just kind of feels like maybe it would make a little bit more sense to go more mainstream, to go with, okay, what's a little bit more current as far as, who's turning heads. And I think when you go with the Ray Phoenix, right? And especially if you're just keeping it so simplistic about, hey, I need help with luchador, right? I'm trying to learn the dark arts of lucha libre. I want to be able to defeat luchadors. What's up? Like this doesn't get any more simpler than that. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It's still early, guys. It's still early. Let's talk about that main event match now. Let's talk about Rhea Ripley taking on IYO SKY there. We talked about it at the top of the show. What a shocking change of events that went down there. So, I mean, look, first of all, great match. Definitely a fun little main event match. Bianca Belair, beautiful as always, chilling at ringside. She's not even on commentary. She's just watching the match and everything. At one point, we see both women. They're outside. Rhea manages to get back inside the ring first. We have the referee, Jessica Carr, who's counting down IYO. And we see Bianca is trying to cheer IYO on, basically letting her know, hey, don't lose like this. Hurry up, get in the ring and everything. Well, Rhea took great offense to that, so much so she actually rolled out of the ring and got in the face of Bianca to ask her, like, what the hell? What is your problem? What, you don't want to face me at WrestleMania? You want the easy road? Is that what it is? And Bianca's like, nah, that ain't the case at all. Go back in the ring, focus on your match, get up out of my face. We see Rhea shove Bianca. Bianca then comes right back, shoves Rhea. We see Jessica Carr get in the middle of both girls and say, yo, this is for a women's championship match, and we ain't doing no DQ like this. Like, nah, like, you get back in the ring. Bianca, you need to go chill. So Bianca goes back, chills in her seat. Rhea gets back in the ring, heads over to the corner, does the action. We see Rhea pick up IYO, puts her over the shoulder, kind of looks as though maybe she's looking for an avalanche riptide, gestures over to Bianca, says to her, hey, Bianca, I'll see you at WrestleMania. And right before she's able to pull off the move, we saw IYO pull a Hurricanrana out of nowhere. She then immediately climbs back up to the top, Genie in the Sky, boom, does that trademark moonsault of hers. 1, 2, 3. We got ourselves a new women's champion. Rhea Ripley not able to kick out in time. She is beside herself, cussing up a storm as Bianca looks on a bit stunned, but like, okay, so I know who my opponent is going to be at WrestleMania here. Okay, all right, this is how we're going to, all right, cool. So I don't think a lot of people were expecting this result. I really don't. Because especially when you look at the fact that leading up to facing Liv Morgan for that championship that Rhea won back, Rhea was coming off pretty unbeatable. And then since she's regained the championship, she's pretty much come off as unbeatable and everything. Um, it's interesting though, because when you're looking at the analytics here, IYO holds a number over Rhea Ripley here, as apparently to date, the times that Rhea and IYO have locked up, Rhea still doesn't hold a victory over IYO SKY. Again, Rhea Ripley to date still does not hold a victory over IYO SKY. So on this path of WrestleMania here, going back to what I was talking about earlier in regards to, Rhea creating the opportunity for IYO SKY there, right? And now essentially you can come right out and have Rhea bitching up a storm next week. I wasn't focused, or I'm invoking my rematch clause. Yeah, she very well could turn this into a triple threat match. To the point we might not be seeing a one-on-one match here. I don't think we are. I do not think we are here, but I got to tell you, following up on what went down at Elimination Chamber less than 48 hours ago, a very well-rounded edition of Monday Night Raw, especially in not just the way that they are planting the seeds there in the build-up to WrestleMania, but looking at what's going to be going down with that MSG show for next week. So again, we know that main event match, Steel Cage, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. Also, New Day will be in action. They will take on LWO's Dragon Lee and Mr. 619 himself, Rey Mysterio. You heard me right, Rey Mysterio. Saw all those reports that was running around there? Remember that? We didn't even acknowledge it. But there was all these reports running around. Oh, Rey Mysterio indefinitely, and people, Rey Mysterio, WWE contract problems, and all this other shit. I basically looked at that, and I even told you guys. I said, look, I'm not buying any stock in that. Ray will be back. He'll be back in time for WrestleMania. He wants to do some stuff with Penta and a few other people. He's not done yet. He's got some itches that he wants to scratch. He's just taking some time to, chill, do whatever. But he'll be back. And now look, we got Rey Mysterio back next week. Pays to not be so reactionary, people. That's my whole point. Grayson Waller takes on Jey Uso one-on-one. We got AJ Styles, who I'm trying to remember how I have this right, but I believe AJ Styles is going to call out Logan Paul. I believe that's how that's going to go down. Let's not also forget on Raw tonight, we had saw Finn Balor call out Bron Breakker. And so there's the continuation of what's happening with those guys in the IC championship and all that. So it was nice little banner, nice little back and forth that went down with them. Ludwig Kaiser and Penta, they had a little bit of a verbal scuffle there, right? So their little feud continuing on and everything. Well-rounded edition, but some of what we're going to be seeing for next week's Raw, just as I laid out to you just now. So pretty good edition of Raw that connected on so many things for the coming weeks. WrestleMania next week, good stuff. I would have to say for the most part. To my point, let's go to the polls right now and let's see how you guys voted. Let's go to X at the RCWR show. See what you guys had to say there. All right, so right now I am seeing 5% of you gave Raw tonight a below average show rating, while 9% of you all said you didn't enjoy it at all. 24% of you felt it was an average show, and 62% of you all said it was an awesome show. Appreciate you guys that voted via X. Let's see how YouTube is looking now. YouTube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the post section and vote that way. I got a 75-25 ratio here. 25% of you said it was an average show, while 75% of you all saying it was an awesome show. Appreciate you guys that cast your vote. Much obliged, as always. As far as wrestling news goes, not really that much out there, which is great for us because that means we pretty much get to be in and out. By the way, shout out to you guys that's checking us out live right now, whether you're doing it on YouTube or you're doing it via Facebook or on X. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you're hitting up the like, sharing, all that good stuff. Subscribe, all that jazz. A couple of notes. So we already talked about Rey Fenix. Him basically being released by AEW, right down to the point you go to the roster page. He's nowhere on there, not even in the alumni section or whatever. So What's going to be most interesting to learn in regards to Ray Phoenix is, remember, there was time that was added onto his contract after he had spent significant time away due to injury. Uh, of course, AEW, they didn't end up using him on television well after he got healed and all of that, which led to Phoenix being very vocal on social media about the whole situation, talking about how he wanted out. And later, those posts, of course, they were deleted. But it's like, yo, seeing the needle and the damage done, and in this case, the needle coming from the pen to the paper to post on social media, putting it out there and all that. So, but it would appear that Ray Phoenix is now gone from AEW. I think it's safe to say at this point, as far as when we'll see Penta and Ray Phoenix, join forces and all of that loveliness. I don't see Ray Phoenix popping up until maybe the night after WrestleMania. That's like the safest bet. Of course, something could happen on the road to WrestleMania where Ray says, yo, I got the perfect tag partner. I'll see you guys at WrestleMania, especially if we're going to go with the Ludwig Kaiser, Pete Dunne combo and them constantly just owning the hell out of Penta's ass. And it's like, Penta, what do you do here, homie? Who do you get to help you out? Right. So WWE, they've got some flexibility here as far as where exactly they want to try and insert Ray Phoenix, or if they want to go on ahead and go with the Lucha Brothers here. For you Becky Lynch fans, her memoir, the paperback version, is going to be released beginning this Tuesday. The paperback edition of Rebecca Quinn's Becky Lynch, The Man, Not Your Average Girl, paperback version of that will be available Tuesday, wherever you buy your books. Imagine on Amazon as well. That is a book I have not yet read. Not yet read. I am behind on a decent amount of books that I'm looking forward to when this current semester I'm in is over, because then I'll only need to be worried about one class, and so basically I'll be able to do a lot more reading as I'm about to get my degree and everything. While we're talking about AEW releases, it appears as though Layla Hirsch. You had to do a double take there because you're like, wait, Layla, like, not Gray. No, Layla Hirsch. Appears she is done with AEW, as she too has suffered from the Thanos snap. She's nowhere to be found on the AEW page. Now, remember, Layla Hirsch signed with AEW going back to 2021, but was rarely used for AEW television. She was basically delegated to ROH programming. A lot of her time was there basically. But yeah, she'd been with AEW that long, since 2021. But it appears as though her contract expired, wasn't being renewed. Is at least the word that's going on there from Fightful and a few other outlets there. Now, if you were to ask me, Lee, is that somebody that you can see maybe in the WWE realm? I'm not quite seeing enough. Sadly, by Layla Hirsch going to AEW, it actually did her a disservice as far as trying to fine tune, flush out a character and all of that. Not so much from a mechanic standpoint, but just more so from a flushing out of a character here. I don't see WWE picking her up, sadly, because it's like, why go? Because I mean, look, they're short, and what she's got going on is short. I mean, she's shorter. I'm not making fun of her, okay, but I'm being real. She is shorter than Ivy Now and what's the other girl I'm thinking of? Roxanne Perez. She's shorter than them. So, I don't quite see Triple H in them, this regime. I don't see them going in that semi-dwarfism kind of. I just don't. And don't get me wrong, she's great. she's great. And I think if all of this time would have been invested in flushing out a really good character, some really good personality, that would definitely put a lot of eyeballs on her. But yeah, yeah, I'm very curious to see what's going to be happening with her post AEW now. Like, is she still going to continue to try to be a wrestler? And if so, where exactly is she going to? One thing is for certain, whatever money that she thinks she might be able to command on the independent scene, she's definitely going to have to. Your price is way too high. You need to cut it. She gonna have to cut that bad boy big time. Shout out to my girl Sky Blue. She gave a medical update letting folks know that she still is not cleared as she messed her ankle up pretty bad. She's not sure when she's going to be cleared. She's hoping sooner rather than later. So that's pretty much the timetable as far as how it's looking for her. Sonya Deville gave a really good interview to Ariel Hawani that I recommend a lot of you guys go out of your way and check out. I've seen little clips, but I haven't been able to like really sit down and watch it in its entirety. A lot of interesting things. Definitely the one thing that I found the most interesting was her talking about how Vince McMahon was such a sweetheart and stepping in when he found out what was going on with Sonya's issues with the stalker slash kidnapper and all that. And Vince McMahon, he wanted to have a meeting with her just to, see where her head is at and get an idea, what's going on with her. And at one point during their conversation, he asked her if she has since moved back in, to her home. And she said no, and she was really taken back by the fact that there were a lot of members of the media press that, I mean, literally were on her doorstep, trying to get in, trying to record whatever they could record, doing their little reporting and all that. And that upset Vince, and he pretty much said, "Okay, well, look, let's try to find you something new then." And Vince, out of his own pocket, had got Sonya Deville a new home. It was all on his dime, and you're like, wow, that is really cool. Now, of course, you can't help but wonder now, like you see all this freaky shit that's going on with Vince McMahon. Like we probably want to check for any weird wires, cameras, and things of that nature, right? But no, like I was telling a friend of mine about this. I say, it's awesome hearing stories like this about Vince, because if you really just take a step back and you think about it, there's been a lot of good things that we've heard. Wow, Vince did that. Wow, Vince was behind that. That's really cool. Like, and he doesn't want people bringing it up, bragging or whatever. Like, he thinks nothing of it. But we hear these many accounts of, great acts of kindness, but quickly in that same breath, it gets shut down, does it not? Because the Janelle Grant and just it's quite sad. It's quite sad. I must say there. But yeah, check that out. Nice little interview with Ariel Hawani. Can't stress it enough. Go check out the interview with Logan Paul and Michael Cole. Goddamn, good stuff right there. And as far as, oh, by the way, for you gamers out there, don't forget some interesting news that we had got from tonight's Raw. Rhea Ripley, her overall rating is a 96. So she is the only woman for this year's WWE 2K25 to be at that rating. And her rating matches to that of Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. So congratulations there to Rhea Ripley. That's a huge honor. Don't forget, 2K25 comes out March 14th, and depending on what you end up pre-ordering, you may get early access by a couple of days there. I'm not tripping. It's not the end of the world for me. I am going to be checking out the standard edition. I don't care about the other skins, and I don't know. I may end up getting, what is it? Don't they got like a Bloodline edition or something like that? But I think that might be extremely expensive. Like I got to look at the prices again. But if I don't settle for the standard, I might try going for the Bloodline. edition. We'll wait and see. I can tell you this right now, though. WWE Supercard. If you haven't played Supercard in a while, they've got a new rarity that is available now. It's called Duel, and I know there was a lot of confusion about that tier. And I want to explain. So it's called Duel because basically under Duel, there is two cosmetics of superstars that you could get, right? And they show you like basically this really cool purple design, and then they show you this really cool silver design. So you could either get one or the other. I'm not sure if you could somehow get both. I don't know if that's possible, but it's basically you either get this design or this design, but either way, they're both grouped under the dual tier. That's not all that they did too, by the way. I'm actually firing up the game right now. The other cool thing that they did is they added a WrestleMania Forever mode, and they made this extremely easy for you to participate in. Basically, every time you go to the draft board, or maybe you open up a pack and you're getting like a whole bunch of retro cards, you're basically able to feed those cards into the WrestleMania Forever mode. And you can see when you look on the rewards, you're greeted with a really cool splash page where they show you one of the main prizes is a dual Alexa Bliss card. Beautiful stats. Power, it's just over 8,000. Toughness, it's over 7,000. Speed is just over, it's almost at now 9,000 actually for speed. And charisma, that is almost at 7,900. So it's a really good card. And it's a left card for those of you that's like, is it a up, down, left, right? It's a left card for you guys. I don't know about you all, but it seems like the biggest issue I have whenever I play campaign mode, the biggest issue I seem to have is having strong right cards. Strong right cards. Even when I think about like my alignments, I've got the worst luck in the world. I've got alignments for days for anything I need when I go into campaign mode. But when it comes to the right alignment, oh my God, I suck. I only got one, count them, one lone right alignment. That's it. So I literally am like, okay, is my superstar and if they're not strong, it's like, well, I can't play that for a little bit. That's where I seem to be. But anyway, yeah, so you take your older legacy cards basically, you feed them in this WrestleMania Forever mode, you trade them in for fame, and the points add up, and you unlock different things. It shows you all the cool stuff that you unlock. And basically the main prize, this is why I'm like going on and on and on about it. The main prize that's up for grabs is a limited edition final boss, the rock card, and the stats are pretty damn tasty. Power, just over 15,000. Toughness, over 12,000. Speed, over 13,000. Charisma, over 16,000. So by the time you level that bad boy up, take it through Elimination Chamber to fulfill that variant requirement, you're probably going to be looking at about that power alone. That should be, what do you think, guys? That power alone, that should be about maybe close to 28,000, give or take. So you're probably going to be looking at like a 28, 24, 20, 28 card is probably what you're going to be looking at. So they've got that in there. Also for you Penta fans, Penta is up for grabs. They have a special edition card that's available for him. You're going to need about 100. You're going to need about 100 Penta tokens, and you'll be able to get those from the draft mode, any other game modes that's available as well. And apparently there's going to be a Penta campaign. I think that's going to come out later this week. I believe Friday. Fulfill all the objectives and you'll get yourself a free Penta SE card. So you'll be able to do the pro that way. So a lot of cool, fun stuff that they're doing right now for WWE Supercard. So check that all out. Hopefully, you guys find that of interest. Hey, make sure you remember as far as Netflix goes, 6 p.m. for March 4th, 6 p.m. for March 4th, 6 p.m. Eastern. Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. New episodes will drop, and they're already underway filming the second season. So I know with this current arc, I think this current arc is either 8 or 9 episodes, and they're doing a 2 episode premiere. I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to checking that out. Rest in peace to the following. Some interesting, Dolly Parton. Let's deal with that because that's the newest that's transpired in the past couple of hours. Dolly Parton's husband, didn't mean to scare you guys, but Dolly Parton's husband, named Carl Dean, he passed away at the age of 82. The family has revealed. Now, he's been married to Dolly Parton for over 60 years. And I was asking my girl because she is a huge Dolly Parton fan. I'm like, so tell me about this Carl Dean because last I remember, there's not that much information about him, like to the point Dolly Parton rarely talks about him. And she's like, yeah, pretty much what you heard. Like he does not like the spotlight. He supports his woman. He loves Dolly to death, but yeah, he likes just chilling in the cut. Like, okay. He was an investor. He had his own company, asphalt company, for starters. And apparently he was the one behind the classic Dolly Parton song, Jolene. And he also was behind Dolly Parton's 2023 album release, where she was covering a whole bunch of rock songs, because apparently he's pretty big in the Leonard Skinner, Led Zeppelin. So Dolly Parton was like, well, why not I do a rock and roll covers album then? And so she kind of, borrowed from what he likes and all that. It's interesting because over the years, many people thought that her husband was fake. It was just an imaginary person. And it got to a point where Dolly Parton was like, I don't know, maybe someday, like, I don't know, maybe a Playboy cover or whatever. Maybe I can pose with my husband here. But like, no, he is real. Like, what the, and, sure enough, if you actually go back in the Wayback Machine and you look up photos of her and her husband, they've taken plenty of pictures together. He's just very reclusive. He didn't like the spotlight when it was all said and done. But 82 years of age, passed away. That's how it's looking there. So definitely thoughts, prayers, condolences to the friends, family, colleagues there of Dolly Parton there, as Carl Dean passed away there. Also, during the weekend, in the wee hours, beginning of Saturday morning, R&B singer, Grammy Award winner, Angie Stone, she passed away at the age of 63. I wish I could say Mother Nature just stepped in and she died peacefully in her sleep. Wasn't the case at all. She tragically lost her life in a horrific automobile accident. The vehicle in which she was driving in, and just hours prior, Angie Stone just got done performing, and she actually was on her way to do a HBCU event. Apologies in advance if I have the initials wrong, but she was getting ready to go do another event. And basically, I think it was a case where she was driving to, her next destination. I don't know if she was the driver herself or if she was riding shotgun or she was riding in the back passenger seat. But the information that's out that we do know is that the vehicle that she was in, it ended up flipping and it collided with a big rig, and everybody was able to walk out of there, scrapes, a couple other things, except for Angie Stone, who lost her life. Very unfortunate. And that was just stunning to hear. What's even more sad and a little bit tragic in regards to Angie Stone, that I don't think a lot of people are really going to be picking up on and really sinking their teeth into, to really highlight, is the fact that for Angie Stone to be at the age of 63 and she was still running around touring, like wherever she would be had, it's quite a sad situation, because she did not learn until I think sometime in the last 3 years that as far as royalties and all that goes for her whole catalog, basically she wasn't getting any residuals. And it was the way in which her contracts were set up. She thought she was getting, but she wasn't. So it's kind of one of those deals where, just imagine, especially in this day and age where we've even seen Chappelle Ronan talk about how important it is to be able to own your music, and not be a sucker for these pennies pennies for a deal contract when it comes to your catalogs and all that. Look up what Chappelle Ronan said. Really, really solid, good stuff. But for Angie Stone, yeah, sadly, it was a situation there where right on up until she died, she was touring and all that. And it's one of those deals where if you've got the right type of a legal team that's looking out for you, your best interest, they're making sure that at the end of the day, you're going to get your money, to be able to, oh man, look, I'm getting these residuals, and man, look at how much money I'm getting. Like, yo, I don't need to tour. If I tour, it's because I'm doing it for the love of my fan base. I'm doing it because I just want to see them. And like when you think about some of your favorite artists, whether it be Daryl Hall, John Oates, before they had their respected issue, when you think about Robert Plant, when you think about Foo Fighters, when you think about Taylor Swift, a lot of these people, they don't need to tour, but they're doing it because, the way they've got their deals set up, you best believe when it comes to residuals and all that, they're getting paid. So, they're definitely, when they're touring, they're doing it not just because they're getting paid, but they're also doing it mainly because they want to get out there in front of their fan base, those that support them, all that good stuff. So kind of sad what happened there with Angie Stone. Another death that I want to talk about. We didn't get a chance to talk about it here last week, because by the time the news came out, we were already done for the week, as it basically was leading up to us doing Elimination Chamber, and that is the death of veteran actor Gene Hackman. Wow. Wow. Just insane. Really, really just insane. And for those of you that's following me on social media, you know that in real time, I was sharing with you all information as I was learning it, because one of my classmates has a friend that pretty much works in the news industry, and part of his job, he's listening to all kinds of radio scrambler information joints, and he's making phone calls, and he's got his hands dipped in quite a few. And so I was hearing the information that way, even right down to the point when, okay, it's no longer looking like it's a gas leak in question. I even in real time, okay, hey, this is, you can see the thread online. I just kept updating it as best as I could when information was becoming available and all that. And, as it stands right now, we still don't definitively know, okay, what's going on here. I know the last update I heard in regards to Gene Hackman was they're saying his pacemaker, it revealed some interesting information, which is apparently he died somewhere between February 16th to the 17th, because that was like the last bit of activity or whatever that was going on with his pacemaker. So they're saying, yeah, he died somewhere between 16th and 17th. You're like, wait, what? Um, I have a theory on what I think might have possibly happened. I'll share it with you guys right now. You guys let me know what you think. And again, this is just a theory. It doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean I'm wrong. I'm just sharing with you all an idea on what I think possibly happened. All right. So I am under the impression everything that I was able to learn about the wife too, by the way, because a lot of people are under the impression maybe the wife just finally did him in. She had enough. There is like a almost a 35 age difference there. So maybe, I'm not buying that whatsoever. They were together for a long time. Yeah, they were together for like over 30 years. I loved hearing about the story and how they first came across each other. Basically, it was at a gym, the gym in which the wife was working at the time. She was very protective of him, even like way before he started getting really up there in age. And apparently, we do know for a fact he was having a lot of health issues. Apparently, so I'm very curious to learn like what all types of medication he was taking and everything. But she was very protective of him, very protective of him. There was a person that had known them since they had moved to that part of the Santa Fe area for over 10 years. Matter of fact, this individual had a hand in training the three dogs that the Hackmans had. And those dogs, from what the trainer had revealed, and they have since ruled out a unlawful entry. Basically, somebody broke in. They've since ruled that out. But what the guy said that trained the dogs, he said, "Look, I personally trained those dogs. I trained them all for like over 10 years. Uh, you know, just about." If they came across somebody that they did not like, that was an intruder, basically, they would be very defensive, like right down to the point that person likely would be bit by those dogs. So you're hearing that, you're going, whoa. One of the dogs was age 12. And I think the other two was, and that 12-year-old dog, that's the one that was found dead. You had a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old dog. Those were the two that was found, but I think one of them was found badly dehydrated and all that. Okay. I'm gonna share with you what I think might have happened. Y'all let me know if you are thinking the same thing. You think I might be on to something or what. But I believe what likely happened was Mrs. Hackman, I believe she had some type of a medical incident. Think about what was said at the press conference by the sheriff county. They said that by looking at her hands and her face, that basically mummification, like it had been settled in, like look like she basically was experienced like for days upon days is kind of what they were saying, right? So you kind of match that up with the last little bit of information that was coming about from Gene Hackman's pacemaker. I suspect that Mrs. Hackman, this is going to sound crazy, but I think Mrs. Hackman had some type of a medical emergency. I think something went down with her, and that some time maybe had passed. Gene Hackman kind of realizing, I haven't heard from, he probably called out to her, probably went to go see, maybe what was going on with her. Maybe then saw the state of her body, position she was in, and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he tried to bend down, try to help her out. And then when he realized she wasn't coming to, maybe he then tried to turn around. And I'm very curious to learn where the position of the house phone or one of their cell phones was located when Gene Hackman collapsed in the area. Because then they say he collapsed like near or in the mudroom or something like that. I'm very curious to learn where his body was when they found it in the location of either a hardwired phone. 95 years old, you probably were pushing a hardwired line still. I know my father-in-law was pushing a hardwired line for the longest time.
But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Now, some of you all may say, the dog, the dog. And I kept telling my girl this all throughout the weekend when I found out about Gene Hackman's death. I said, the one thing that keeps bothering me, why did one of the dogs die and not all of them? And she's like, why is that bothering you? I was like, it bothers me because if it was a death pack, then everybody would be dead. So, like, just the fact that only one of the dogs died, I'm like, that says to me, no, some type of a medical emergency had happened. So I think the wife experienced first a medical emergency, and then she went out. I think hours later, it might have been a case where now what I can't figure out is maybe along the way the dog kind of came and because I don't know about you guys, but when I find myself kind of feeling a little funny because I'm taking medicine for my type 2 diabetes, I also take two different types of medications for my heart. I take one that basically helps control my cholesterol levels and all that, but then I have this other one that like I need to take it because if I don't take that, like my heart beat and everything, it just goes through the roof and I'm exposed to hypertension, the whole 9 yards, you name it. I wouldn't be surprised if the dog that died, if maybe it had came across the area where Mrs. Hackman laid out. And remember, because they said, oh, we found an open bottle of medication. Maybe the dog had nibbled on a couple of the medications and it went out that way, right? It went out that way. I just can't figure out if that happened with the dog after Mrs. Hackman's, collapsed, or if after Mrs. Hackman and Gene Hackman both collapsed, they're out. Then the dog comes along and because think about the location of where the other two dogs were found. So still a developing, but that's what I think probably happened. You guys sound off. Let me know based on everything that you've seen in the news, the reporting. Let me know if you're kind of right there with me or if you're thinking something else is going on. But we all could be in agreement. Way it's looking right now, based on what the sheriff's office is saying, no foul play, but it's suspicious enough to open up an investigation. But they're not seeing right now that any signs of break-in or anything like that. So I'm very curious to learn and know what the police are going to be able to find from those cell phones of theirs, because that's pretty much going to give a definitive timeline on, okay, this is what all, we think had happened and all that. But I'm gonna miss Gene Hackman. I mean, look, not for nothing, but Gene Hackman had lived quite a quiet life away from the spotlight. He was quietly writing his books, which I would imagine posthumously. Now you're gonna have a lot of people that's gonna jump out there and try to collect those books now because they're like collector's items. I think he penned 5 books, was it? I believe it was 5 books he penned. His last one came out in 2013, but he pretty much has been chilling since. I remember a handful of years ago, someone asked, hey, would you ever come back and do maybe one more movie? Would you do one more role or whatever? And he said something along the lines of the only way I will do it, like, is if they'll come to my house and they will film me, right here in my own home, because I'm not traveling. I'm not doing any of that. They would have to come to me. They would have to film the scene right. And it couldn't even be for that long. Yeah, that's so Gene Hackman. Like, yeah, for sure. And probably like many of you, when you all have found out the news, I definitely was finding myself just going on a movie binge, checking out some classics. For me, my personal favorite Gene Hackman performances, just in no particular order either. Um, Definitely, I enjoyed him in the first 2 Superman movies. I thoroughly enjoyed him, Dustin Hoffman in Runaway Jury. I thought Gene Hackman gave just a damn good performance in that one. Look that one up with John Cusack, Dustin Hoffman, Gene Hackman, Runaway Jury. One of my personal it's an underrated gem of a movie, I have to say. right down to the point. I remember when I saw it in theaters. That's how pumped up I was for that on the trailer and everything. I just thought it looked pretty badass. Of course, Unforgiven. Oh, hands down. Just you know, it's so interesting because here's this guy, you know, here's this sheriff of this town. He's all high and mighty, virtuous, and you know, he's acting like what he's doing is for the better of good, but in actuality, he's the bad guy, and he doesn't realize the fear that he's bestowed upon that town and its people there and all that. It's so interesting, and how Clint Eastwood's character, all the foul, despicable, heinous shit that he did, and how he ends up being the good guys. Imagine how they just, it's the reverse psychology that's going on there and everything. But I thoroughly loved him in that one. Of course, the French Connection, uh, the is it called The Conversation or The Conversationalist, where he's in front of the throughout the whole movie, he's listening to audio. It's like this thriller. It was another really damn good performance of his that I enjoyed. I know Gene Hackman had said that he found comedy to be more rewarding, that it was more of a challenge. I didn't particularly care just for some of the roles that he did, like the one joint he did with that guy everybody loves, Raymond Bullworth or whatever. I didn't think that was a funny movie at all. um but I understood what he meant. I understood where he was getting at as far as the challenges. You know, it's really coming from the comedy and all that. But look, the one thing that we can say as fans that grew up watching Gene Hackman, whatever role he was in, dude did a phenomenal job in commanding your attention. You know, when he graced us on that screen, you know, we were very interested in what all he was going to do, and you know, his acting. It just he just seemed like such a natural, didn't he? It's just so goddamn easy. There's some social media account that I follow, and they had revealed this fun fact that when it came to the car chase scene in the French Connection, one, Gene was actually behind the wheel doing all of those insane stunts. You're going, holy shit. And then to think about the fact that Gene wasn't even wearing a seatbelt when he was doing all of that shit. And then two, what was even more surprising is there's the scene where he hits a car and he keeps right on going. That car was not part of the chase scene. So that was an innocent bystander that fucking got hit by Gene Hackman during the chase scene. And somehow Gene just, like, you know, he keeps right on going, right? I guess it was kind of one of those, well, unless the director says cut, I'm just going to keep right on, right? That just makes that whole car chase scene even that more. And I got to tell you, as far as car chase scenes goes, if y'all know anything about me from listening to the show over the years, my favorite era of movies is definitely the 70s. I'm a big fan of the blaxploitation era, particularly. But if you were to get me to sit down and make a short list of like my top favorite car chase scenes, I'm not saying this because the man's passed. I mean this in all honesty. Number one for me is the car chase scene from the French Connection, and it's a close number two. It's a close number two, but I got to go with Steve McQueen and Bullet. That car chase scene too was chef's kiss. I mean, fucking perfection. So yeah, I found myself definitely diving into some Gene Hackman favorites over the weekend. Definitely, he'll be missed, but his work, it continues on. It continues on. Other than that, just thinking if there's some other stuff for us to get into. No, as far as wrestling news, entertainment news wise, that is pretty much it. That is pretty much it. So let me just make my rounds to X one more time, making sure I'm not missing anything. God, you guys are showing that Ray Phoenix post a lot of love. Let me just go back in there, make sure I'm not missing anything. as far as comments go. I don't think I am. Now we're caught up. We're caught up. We're caught up. That's good. That's good. All right. So as far as programming notes, your next edition of the RCWR show, we're probably going to do something for you guys later on in the week. I know it's been a good minute since we've talked about AEW and everything. Oh, by the way, while we're talking about other promotions, let's not also forget we got TNA Surrender, that pay-per-view event that's going to be coming up. Cora Jade is going to be taking on Masha Slamovich for the TNA Knockouts Championship. And then also, let's not forget that this coming Wednesday, March 5th, on Tubi TV is the premiere of WWE Evolve. And we already know who our color commentators are going to be. Apparently, it's going to be Peter Rosenberg. Not sure how I feel about that. And Robert Stone. They are going to be our color commentators for WWE Evolve. So yeah, I'll definitely be watching that though. I don't know. I think we might end up doing a Wednesday show just to come on, talk about the premiere of Evolve, talk about AEW and all that. As a matter of fact, if you guys can bear with me, I want to try to see if I can give you guys a preview of what's going to be happening for this week's AEW Dynamite. Yep, I'm able to see it here. So apparently this week we're going to see Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander taking on the team of Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. Let's hope that motherfuckers don't go in business for themselves and it's a situation where Thunder Rosa is made to look embarrassed again. Let's hope that that doesn't happen. Also, we're going to get a contract signing for Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet. Remember, they're going to be fighting at Revolution. Also, we're going to see the Rated R superstar. I refuse to call him Cope. Fuck that. I would rather call him Edge. Just seriously, like no. Edge will be taking on Wheeler Yuta. So that's all the stuff we know so far. That's going to be happening for this week's AEW Dynamite. Yeah, I'll poll you guys later today. So when you see the poll out, just I'll put it out on YouTube. So check the post section of the YouTube channel and cast your vote that way. That'll help me figure out how we need to do programming and everything. Before we get ready to dip out, yo, if you enjoyed this, make sure you hit the like, all that. Show the YouTube channel some love and make sure you hit the subscribe on there. As I always say, more eyeballs we're able to get on the content, especially for our YouTube channel, the better. It really helps growing the audience and all that. Before we get ready to dip out, I do want to take this time out to thank our sponsors, because without them, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. Hey, we extended the Lee Sanders Wrestling Awards because of everything that was going on behind the scenes. Happy to say, and once again, thank you to those of you that had reached out, maybe email, private message, or even a text. My father-in-law, he's doing a lot better from the scary fall that he had a couple of weeks ago. His physical therapy is going pretty good. His coverage is going to be running out though next week, and it's looking as though he's going to be coming in to come live with us for a little bit, because he's nowhere near 100%. He's not even sniffing 100% yet of good health after his hip surgery. So he's probably looking at about at least 6 to 7 months before he has fully recovered there. So, but yeah, with all that was going on, we weren't able to really, in those weeks, we weren't able to promote the wrestling awards like we wanted to. So we've extended it. That's going to now go until March 24th. So go cast your vote. I'll make sure it's available in the episode description. But we're extending the awards voting until March 24th. We're brought to you in part by the good folks over at Pocket Retro. .us. Attention gamers, if you're ready to relive the golden era of gaming, I want for you to pick up the Pocket Retro handheld console with over 20,000 classic games from your favorite consoles. It's like having an entire arcade in your pocket. No downloads necessary, no Wi-Fi necessary. You're able to play on this bad boy for 8+ hours. So that is excellent for those long commutes, or if you got a nice, cool, chilled, lazy weekend. You feel me? Charge your bad boy up with a USB C joint, so you get your hookup that way. And the Pocket Retro is designed for seamless, lag-free gaming anywhere. Go order now. We're also brought to you in part by AIstudios.com. If you're ready to bring your creative vision to life, meet AI Studios, your ultimate companion in the world of artificial intelligence. At AI Studios, they harness the power of cutting-edge technology to deliver stunning, lifelike animations and custom AI-generated content tailored to your needs. If you need a unique video for your marketing campaign, or you want to create an interactive virtual experience, AI Studios, they've got you covered. No credit card is required, so go check them out. We're also brought to you in part by ClaimMySETCRefund.com. You may be eligible for a refund of over $30,000 if you worked in key self-employment positions in 2021. Let them help you find those breaks. It's free to apply, as there's no out-of-pocket costs, long as you apply before the April 15th, 2025 deadline, which reminds me, in regards to y'all's taxes, you see what's going on with this current administration. I'm not saying you got to act like it's the end of the world, but y'all might want to put some pep in your step when it comes to filing your taxes, because you see how people are losing their jobs left and right and all that. Better to be safe than sorry, I always say. Also, we're brought to you by the good friends over at trendrebel.pro. They're offering a 7-day free trial right now for you guys that are trying to figure out how to get in the stock market, cryptocurrency, all that. You want those baby steps, those guys can definitely hook you up with that. We're also brought to you in part by Carebel app. The Carebel app, that's spelled Carebal. It's a personalized AI avatar, digital companion that speaks and understands every language, provides emotional support, mental health AI. You can pretty much use it like Chat GPT. So check them out. And last but not least, we're brought to you in part by Robert D. Murphy and his new book, Breaking Boundaries. If you're ready to take control of your career and break through to the next level, check out Breaking Boundaries. It's perfect for professionals on any level. Breaking Boundaries is packed with insights on leadership development, team management, career growth strategies, and conflict resolutions. Check them out. Hey, we did pretty good. We hit about the hour and 42-minute mark. I love that. 1 hour 42. That is great. That's great. So one more time, get at your man all throughout social media, including what is that? Blue Sky. Use the keywords VRCWR show. Show the YouTube channel some love as well, and light that bad boy up. Really means a lot. Helps put more eyeballs on the content. And look out for that poll. We'll put it up on YouTube, but I have a feeling you guys are going to want that Wednesday night show. You guys are going to want to pick my brain on what I thought about the first episode of Evolve, and we'll talk some AEW and all that. So safe to say we'll be here Wednesday night. I guess we'll be here, 10:15-ish, if not a little bit sooner. So I'll catch you guys for that bonus episode. And until next go around, my pretty babies, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go around, y'all. Take care.